And now to a CBS News exclusive. A federal probe is underway looking into whether Chinese companies deliberately restricted the world's production of storage containers ahead of the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's bring in CBS News justice reporter Jake Rosen. Jake, good to see you once again today. So you were on the team that broke this story. What did you learn?
Well, at least a couple of Chinese companies are going to be indicted or were indicted. We should be expecting an announcement potentially sometime today for apparently, according to this indictment, slowing the production of these shipping containers and the use of them going back to the early days of COVID. I'm sure all of our audience remembers when COVID first started, just the massive delays in shipping things from toilet paper to the goods that you typically would order or gifts to your house as everybody started ordering things directly to them. The Justice Department has been investigating these Chinese companies for apparently holding back on the way that these shipping containers were mobilized. There's only a handful of these companies that really work worldwide, especially goods that were coming from China that, as many people will remember, there were week-long delays on things like getting basic household goods and other things like that. A Justice Department spokesperson did not immediately respond to specifics on this, although someone, at least from one of these companies, was brought to potentially the United States and arrested overseas to be brought back for these criminal proceedings to go underway. It's part of the Justice Department's broader efforts to analyze and look back through, whether it's a political lens or not, the handling of COVID worldwide. We know that, for instance, a member of Anthony Fauci's team was indicted in Maryland for allegedly violating some FOIA rules and deleting documents around the handling of the coronavirus and what the government knew. We know that there are other investigations into companies overseas for their handling of what they knew and when, in terms of how they acted on the free market. This is one of those situations, Mugo, where it appears that the Department of Justice is going to try to hold a company from China accountable for apparently slowing down how American consumers got their products in the early days of COVID-19.
Yeah, and Jake, I want to switch to a different topic here because you're also following the testimony of Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche to a Senate committee that's happening right now. What have you heard so far?
Well, that hearing just wrapped, Mugo, and what we saw was Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche put on the spot in his first time testifying in front of Congress in his new role and being pressed on yesterday's major announcement, which was this $1.7 billion fund created as part of a settlement in a lawsuit between the Trump organization, President Trump and his two grown sons, and the IRS and Department of Treasury, who he sued earlier this year, alleging that the government unlawfully handled and mishandled, I should say, his tax returns, which led to their leaks to the media. Someone was prosecuted for those leaks in 2023-2024 time period. However, this was President Trump's move to try to hold his own government accountable. But what you get, Mugo, because of that is two parties on kind of the same side of the same coin, and having the president sue his own administration, more or less. That raised outrage from Democratic senators who repeatedly pushed Blanche over and over again of whether President Trump and his family will get any amount of this $1.7 billion plus that now is available for anyone who claims that they had the government weaponized against them. Blanche said no, that they would not. However, he didn't rule out anyone potentially convicted and then pardoned for their actions on January 6th for either actions that they took that day, just trespassing the Capitol, or for assaulting law enforcement officers. And we didn't see any real clarification specifically on how this kind of fund is going to play out, because what, Mugo, in the eyes of this Trump administration, and because Todd Blanche and Congress are going to have a say in who actually is on this 5-member board that's going to decide these payouts, what is the definition of weaponization that they're going to look for? Well, Todd Blanche said anyone from Hunter Biden, former President Biden's son, who has had a number of legal issues, could apply for this. Other Democrats could as well. But also, he didn't rule out other members of President Trump's allies and orbits, major campaign donors who may have run into legal problems over the last 5 or 6 years or so and could potentially be seeking reimbursement for either being under investigation or having actually been convicted, serving time, and then getting a payout if, in the eyes of this commission, you were wrongly either investigated or prosecuted.
Wow, a lot to watch for on that one. Jake Rosen in Washington for us. Thank you.